Hi guys, and welcome to this Red Gamer Tech video of myself and Marta. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I know it's been a while for anyone who has been around a while. Paul is just off doing some bigger projects today, so it's down to yours truly to give you the latest from the tech and gaming worlds. And today's video is a lot of Xbox stuff, so let's get stuck in because we've got a lot to talk about. Now, obviously, anticipation and expectations are really high right now because we are literally days away from E3 2021. And obviously Microsoft's conference is going to be happening on Sunday at 10 AM Pacific time. But ahead of their conference, Microsoft had a lot to share about their roadmap for the future of Xbox. And they are looking to make up for lost time, because obviously it's been a quieter year than expected, shall we say, of game releases for everyone. Oh, one more thing, it's about 1,000 degrees at the moment in the UK, so I do have my window open, so apologies for the very loud birds outside in my garden, but if I close the window, I'm pretty sure I would just spontaneously combust. Anyway, let's talk about what Microsoft had to share. There is a lot, but one of the cooler things that they said is going to be happening is that they are working with global TV manufacturers to actually embed the Xbox experience directly into smart TVs or internet connected TVs, with no extra hardware required except, of course, a controller. How this would actually work, what do they mean by the Xbox experience into the TV? It's most likely going to be linked to XCloud and cloud gaming, so you can actually just game directly from your TV, but of course we should wait for more specifics from Microsoft there, but that does sound genuinely interesting. They're also going to be working on, of course, more stuff for Game Pass, which they have been very aggressive with pushing more and more games being added to that, making it an honestly great value proposition for Xbox or PC gamers. But unsurprisingly, one of the bigger focuses that they had in their talks about their plans is cloud gaming. You know, Microsoft have had this strategy for a while now. They don't care how you're in the ecosystem, they just want gamers in that ecosystem. If it's through Game Pass on Xbox or PC, great. If it's just with an Xbox console or PC, great. And obviously, with them doing cloud gaming, there are more ways to experience that Xbox ecosystem than ever. And they are going to continue to push that. You know, cloud gaming is going to be available through Game Pass Ultimate in Australia, Brazil, Mexico, and Japan later on this year. There's also going to be cloud gaming on browsers launching soon. And there is an absolute ton of work going into this. And Phil Spencer actually had some specifics to share thanks to an interview that he conducted, where he stressed once again the importance of cloud. He said, quote, "The cloud will allow us to completely remove these barriers to play worldwide. Of course, there's still a place for consoles and PCs, and frankly, there always will be. But through the cloud, we'll be able to deliver a robust gaming experience to anyone connected to the internet, even on the least powerful, least expensive devices, even on devices people already own. And with cloud gaming, players can participate fully in the same Xbox experience as people on local hardware, and we couldn't do that if we weren't part of Microsoft." So, obviously, a few things to take away from those statements there. One, obviously, consoles are not going anywhere. That's hardly a shock. And obviously, you know, they're still going to be continuing to push PC, which is great because they've only really recently started pushing PC as aggressively as they have in the grand scheme of things. So it just shows to me that Microsoft is going to be pretty aggressive in trying to get people into their ecosystem with cloud gaming, and obviously trying to make Game Pass more affordable. One of the things they also discussed was Xbox All Access, which will allow consumers to buy a console in Game Pass for a monthly price rather than coughing up, £500-600, whatever, up front. And again, just trying to offer as much accessibility, I suppose, to Game Pass and Xbox as possible, which is obviously great. You know, regardless of your opinions on Xbox as a platform or Microsoft as a company, them trying to make games more accessible to more people via all these platforms and trying to make them more affordable is obviously a good thing. But of course, Microsoft's plan isn't just pushing Game Pass and cloud as much as possible, it's also going to be an aggressive games roadmap. Now, there was a very lengthy interview that was conducted by GamesIndustry.biz that included the head of Xbox Game Studios, Matt Booty, and they want to release a game every 3 months. They said, quote, "We want to get to a point of releasing a new game every quarter. Games take up to 4 or 5 years to make, and the reality is not every project we start will make it to launch. But if you add all that up, that's how we've got onto our state today, with 24 studios making games across a variety of genres, and we know that a thriving entertainment service needs a consistent and exciting flow of new content, so our portfolio will continue to grow as our service grows." Now, obviously, this year has been very challenging. Lots of games have been delayed and have issues during development, so obviously they want to come back strong, and one of the best ways to get people on your platform is, of course, to give them lots of good games to play. And Game Pass is obviously one element of that, but new games, exciting new titles, new IPs, sequels, whatever, that's obviously what interests you in a console. Ultimately, it comes down to what games can I play on your machine, and the more games you have to offer, well, the wider your potential audience. And of course, one of the other ways that Microsoft have been trying to be aggressive in this way is by acquiring game studios, and they have been very, very greedy with this. I will say they have acquired lots of interesting studios. For example, the Hellblade guys are working on Hellblade 2. I'm really looking forward to seeing more gameplay from that. Hopefully that's one of the things we see at E3 this year, but of course we'll see. But Matt Booty also said that Microsoft is, quote, "committed to building a diverse collection of studios that deliver a predictable pipeline of high-quality games. We are growing our studio's organization through acquisition. We use a filter of people, teams, ideas to keep us disciplined. People that we have relationships with, teams that delivers games through success and have had some adversity, and studios that have proven track record of new ideas. The support that we get from the company has enabled us to acquire smaller studios like Tim Schafer's Double Fine, mid-sized studios like Obsidian, and of course, industry giants like Bethesda." So, perhaps we will also get the news of more studio acquisitions at E3 as well. Of course, time will only tell. Now, one of the things that Phil also did during this particular press briefing was touch a little bit about on PC and how their strategy differs to Sony. And he said, quote, "As the Xbox ecosystem grows in both content and total size, it becomes more valuable to both players and our partners. So right now, we're the only platform shipping games on console, PC, and cloud simultaneously. Others bring console games to PC years later, not only making people buy their hardware up front, but then charging them a second time to play on PC. And of course, all of our games are in the subscription service day one, full cross-platform included." Now, obviously, he doesn't say Sony, but I don't feel like he has to. It's pretty clear which company he's talking about here. Now, obviously, their strategies are very, very different. Sony, on the other hand, have only released a handful of games on PC. Horizon Zero Dawn is one of the more recent ones, and obviously there's a ton of copium on the internet for people such as myself who would love to have Bloodborne on PC, for example. But Sony is just very selective with these things. I do wish they weren't so selective, just because it'd be great to play some of these games, even if I'm playing them again for the second time. Doesn't matter. Like Horizon Zero Dawn, I will eventually get around to picking that up on PC. Just not right now, because there's about a bajillion games coming out, and I don't need to worry about that right now. But yeah, it is something that I do wish they do more of, but obviously they are very different companies in terms of their PC strategy. But there is one thing that I do want to address, is that apparently there's already some new console hardware in the works at Microsoft. And these comments came from Liz Hamren, the CVP of Gaming Experiences and Platforms over at Microsoft, said that they're already working on new hardware, quote, "some of which won't come to light for years. Cloud is our key to our hardware and Game Pass roadmaps, but no one should think we're slowing down on our core console engineering. In fact, we're accelerating it. We're already hard at work on new hardware and platforms, some of which won't come to light for many years, but even as we build for the future, we're focused on extending the Xbox experience to more devices today so we can reach more people." Now, obviously, just because they're working on new console hardware doesn't necessarily mean they're working on a new console already. It could literally just be something like a new controller or a new form factor for their wireless headsets, for example. It could even be VR. That would actually be a really, really nice to see from Microsoft. They have yet to step into the virtual reality ring. Of course, console plans and roadmaps and design, that all takes a very, very long time. So it most likely is in the very, very early planning stages somewhere at Microsoft, but Obviously, at the moment, they are very focused on the Xbox Series X and S, trying to push that as much as possible, as well as push Game Pass and the ecosystem, as I've already said. That is where they're really getting aggressive, and of course, they're very much going to be wanting to make up for lost time over this past very, very challenging year. We are, of course, expecting to see games like Halo Infinite at E3 this year, or perhaps some other highly anticipated titles, such as Elden Ring, assuming we don't see it tonight at Summer Games Fest, and we very well may do, fingers and toes crossed. I'm sure you guys can hear the copium all the way across the internet. Now, obviously, one of the potentials for the new Xbox hardware could be some sort of Chromecast or streaming style stick device that could plug into a non-smart TV, because obviously, again, Microsoft wants to give this to as many people as possible, and while a lot of people have a smart TV nowadays, not everyone does. And obviously having a Fire Stick or Chromecast like device could be just one way that Microsoft could do this. But yeah, it's looking to be interesting for sure. Microsoft have no intention of slowing down. In fact, they are looking to just increase the Xbox brand awareness, get more people on Xbox as much as physically possible, which is obviously something they've been doing for a while, and it's definitely been working in terms of this generation. You know, Game Pass, as I've already said, is pretty nice value. I don't subscribe to it myself, but that's just me. I am a bit of a skinflint, so it's just my personal choice. But I don't have to necessarily subscribe to it to see, look at it and be like, you know what, actually, that's pretty nice value. Now, of course, one of the possibilities that they could also be working on over at Microsoft is a Pro version of the X or S, but if that is a thing that's going to happen, it won't be anytime soon, primarily due to the fact that, you know, a lot of people still haven't managed to get their hands on a next-generation console, be that Sony or Microsoft's next-generation offering, just due to the shortages and everything that's been going on. But you guys don't need me to remind you about that, I'm sure. But it's definitely going to be interesting to see how the game and the race between Sony and Microsoft heats up. Now, obviously, Microsoft and Sony have very different strategies, as I've already said, but Sony are not just going to obviously sit there and just let Microsoft do whatever they want. They're going to, of course, try to be competitive in their own way. I would fully expect to see some interesting reveals coming up soon. Now, unfortunately, Sony are not at E3 this year, which is unfortunate, but that doesn't mean we will not see independent conferences from them, revealing things. Obviously, there's a lot of titles that are highly anticipated, like God of War Ragnarok is a big one. So it's going to be really interesting how the two kind of trade blows. You know, one of the ways that could happen, of course, is with Fidelity FX. We do know, of course, that the Xbox Series X will be supporting Fidelity FX Super Resolution from AMD, and I would not be surprised at all to see Sony support it as well, if only just so they can remain competitive in that space against Microsoft. But of course, that is pure speculation from me. Anyway, guys, hit me up with your expectations for not only Summer Games Fest tonight, but E3 this weekend. What are you hoping to see? What are you really hyped for? That sort of thing. Let me know, guys. Anyway, thanks for watching. Enjoy the glorious weather. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.